Good morning, good morning. Testing 1, 2, 3. How are we doing? Well, yesterday I was having audio issues. Today I just am overzealous on clicking, and I ended the stream as soon as I started the stream, so let's try this again. Welcome back if you found your way back here. Thank you so much for joining me. We have picture and intro. Okay. Dan does junk. Odin jokes about ending the stream before beginning. You're way bolder, right? And I technically went live. I don't have to do it today. Honestly, I'm kind of nervous about today because it's the part I've been avoiding. I got all of these circles in. They're hard enough as it is. I'm an inch off here. That really bothers me, but it's not going to affect the structural issues that I need it to do, so it's really not worth. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to see this layer. And the bottom circle's correct and the slopes are correct. So I'm not stressing out about it, but I notice it right here. This is the low spot. But it's not a low spot on the hem. The hem is even, which, whew. But, oh good, we're all good. Welcome 45th Clown, Michael Snell, and Dan Does Junk. Thank you guys for being here. Yes. So I've been thinking about this project a lot, how I'm going to move forward, what I'm doing, but I've been like trying to avoid. I have to do the vertical ribs. Now, I have all my horizontal ones laid in. If I need more, I can fudge it. You know what I mean? But I have a game plan of how I wanted to do this. But I'm such a cheapskate. Tape's getting expensive lately. And I was thinking of masking tape, just taping my ribs in instead of trying to use pins that are not going to stab through this plastic easily without a fight. Just taping them in place and then peeling the tape back as I stitch down. But then that's wasteful on tape in my eyes, you know? Anyways, reduce, reuse, and recycle, you know? So then I was thinking I could possibly just hand stitch, but not like, more like just baste it in place so it holds where it needs to go and then go from there. But still trying to figure out the easiest, the path of least resistance, as always with crafting. Dan Does Junk, the vertical boning? Vertical boning, what am I talking about? Okay, so these ribs here, I'm calling them ribs. I don't think that's the technical term for them. The hoops. This is basically a Victorian hoop skirt with modern sew-in boning. It's plastic, it's rigid, it's 1/2 inch. I ordered 50 yards of it on Amazon, and I haven't run out of it. Now, we are going around the circle to hold the cone shape, and it's doing a really good job of that. But and it collapses really nicely. Really fun shape. Now I have to put in more boning, this stuff here, to connect them all the way down like this, so that these turn into a straight line and they're not going to give me a step pyramid. The last thing I want is this step pyramid going on. And then also, if we look at the picture, this is not we're not making an exact copy, but reference image. I need to have a bunch of things hanging off of this dress, and they need to be anchored onto something, because even though they're miniatures and tiny houses and such, they still need something to go on to. So that's what this is for. So I'm creating a grid system on this cape. And what I'm really nervous about is every time I cross a rib, it's going to go ka-clunk, ka-clunk, ka-clunk. And I know I could just skip them, but I'm probably going to sew through them. I'm not, on these layers, I did a 3-step zigzag so that I only had to stitch over the rib, the boning once, and it covers the width of the boning so it's securely attached. On the very first one, I did 2 rows of stitching along the boning, and that's kind of what I want to do on these vertical bones, because if I'm going in a straight line, it's going to do less damage to my sewing machine versus a zigzag stitch. When I'll get less skip stitches if I keep it in a straight line. So I'm going to do the vertical ones like that and do 2 rows of stitching. But it's going to take twice as long because I have to go through, each bone will take 2 times going through the sewing machine, which is the pain in the butt, which is why I originally went with the zigzag and then switched up to the 3-step zigzag because it does less stitches per inch. And that means less damage to my sewing machine because it's the needle stabbing it every time, which is, yes, so just limiting damage, but also this is the part that I've been avoiding because it's, you saw how hard it was trying to do those circles, trying to make a straight edge fit to a cone. Now I have to, at least it's straight lines and I'm not having to worry about that, but I do have to sew through the boning, and I'm just not looking forward to it. But I know it has to get done, and I know it can get done, so I just have to do it and stop complaining. But look, this is the last time it's going to nest flat. It's going to be fun, though. Okay, how many vertical strips do you plan on putting? That is a very good question. So it depends on how hard it is. If it is a pain in the butt and I break a needle on the first one, I might put in 3 more. If it's not so bad, okay, so if it's really easy, I want to put in like as many as I possibly can. So I do center front, center back, side seams. I'm going to avoid the princess seams. What are the princess seams? The princess seams are right at the center of your bodice, so right where we'd kind of want the hands to come out, so that there's room for the hands to come out. But so I would do center front and like either side of center front, and then side seam and either side of side seam. And I don't know if I'd go super crazy on the back because it may never even be seen the way this is going to be photographed. So, but I'd still want the weight, but I might not stress out about having too many bones back there. But this is what I'm going to be anchoring everything on. And I want more than less, but also I will take the bare minimum if it's a pain in the butt to sew, because I am a little nervous about this and I don't want to overcommit. Because ideally, like if I'm ordering this, I want all the bones, but I'm the one who has to build it. So I'm like, I know it's stressful stabbing that. And obviously, I'm still avoiding it. Can't you cut the boning into 2-inch sections so you only have 1 layer? Yeah, but then I'd have to either anchor it to the top or the bottom, or I'm going to have to deal with insecurity. And I can skip over the boning and stitch it to the fabric itself. I can also create channels that I stitch through, so I'm only stitching through 1 layer of boning and not sewing the boning directly to the garment. I've thought about this a lot of different ways, and those are all very good suggestions, and none of them are wrong. There's a million ways to go about anything. It's just, which torturous way am I going to do it? But what I think I'm going to start with doing is doing my center back. Although the more I look at this, I want this to be my center front. Yeah, I was staring at it today going, it's still symmetrical front to back, but I like having a center front seam for design reasons. But I'm going to put the first piece of vertical boning following along this seam. First of all, it's a straight line. There's no curve in this edge, where this edge has a curve at the top, but no curve on the side of the bell. So this is a straight seam. I'm going to start at this rib, maybe like I don't want to do it taller than this rib because then that'll stab and be uncomfortable, and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to start at the top of this rib and sew it all the way down, following my seam allowance, pressing it open as I go and stitching it down on one side and then the other side. And I'm going to see how hard it was, and then we'll kind of decide, we'll assess what the next step is from there. But that's the plan. Good question, Michael Schnell. How do you know a project needs lining? What is it for? What typically needs it? Good question. We're really going to get into that today. So when you are making a project, finishing your edges is the difference between something professionally done, well done, and beginning. Like they talk about seam finish, seam finish. What's a seam finish? Seam finish is finishing your edges. There are fabrics that don't need seam finishes. This felted wool is not going to come unraveled. It's not going to fray, and it's not going to look ugly over time having its seams exposed. But this muslin here, the edges, I can unravel it. And this edge will get yuckier and yuckier every time you launder it. And like jeans, like when you have a frayed edge of jeans and every time you throw it through the laundry, it makes a better fringe. And we do that on purpose. Well, you don't want that happening in your projects. And the ways you finish your seams are you can turn it under, and stitch. You can tuck it under, you can zigzag over it. There's a million different ways you can finish your seams. One of them is using a lining. If all their seams are encompassed in the inside of your project, they're not being exposed to body wear and tear. They're protected by the fabric on the outside. And so when you're thinking about your project, you're thinking about how your seams are going to be finished, how it's going to be put together. And what kind of layers of structure and support you're going to need. This is a really good, odd example of structure and support and what the different layers do, because I'm going to be talking about that after I get through the boning part, because that's on my mind. So good question. All right, I'm avoiding this long enough. I'm pulling out the sewing machine. Okay, one more sip of coffee. DJ Stumpy, hi all, just tuning in for a bit. Welcome. Hope your project's going well. Did your sleeve get in? Okay. I personally like working from the inside out, top to bottom when I'm sewing. Like when I'm sewing a bodice together, I'll start from my inside shoulder and sew towards my sleeve. If I'm sewing this side seam right here, I start at the top of the sleeve and sew down towards the hem, because if your fabric gets off, I don't want the mismatch to be at the part where we're going to see. I want it to be in the part that I hem, cut off, can adjust and fudge around with. So it's not a hard and fast rule, because the majority of your fabric can't physically go on this side of your sewing machine. It has to go on that side of your sewing machine. So weird things and factors and patterns and turning things around, it's not a hard and fast rule, but in general, I like to start on the inside, working out and top to bottom, so that my mistakes are at the hem. So this guy, I think it would be easier to start at the hem and work my way up because of the shape of the cone and accessibility reasons. But however, I want it to really line up at the top, and as we get down to the bottom, it doesn't. You know what I mean? So, again, I have to do this first one and I will know what I'm dealing with. And it's only going to get worse from here. Fun times, but I love it. I really do. I promise. Okay. Still trying to avoid this, and I have no reason to. All right, my stitches. I'm going to go for a straight stitch and the longest stitch length. And okay. Oh, this is going to get really tricky really quick. Okay, let's do this. I want a flat edge. I have a little bit of a point to this. Where are all my not good scissors? There we go. Okay, I have a flat edge now. All right, no more avoiding. I have to just do, if I put it down here. I can't do a back stitch on the boning, so I'm starting my stitching above the boning, doing my back stitch, and then I'm gonna go, and then it's gonna start clunking. All right, let's do it, let's do it. All right, no more avoiding it. Clunk, clunk. It's all good, we got this. I'm really glad that I have a straight line to follow this center back seam because it's really disorienting here. And I know if I follow this line, it's straight. You know, crossing the boning's not as hard as I thought it would be. Knock on wood. I said it too. I'm not finished with it, and I said that, but I thought it was going to be way worse. But I'm definitely glad I did a straight stitch because I would be stressed out more if this was a zigzag. It doesn't want to stay right here because it's fighting me now. This boning is pushing on the side of my sewing machine, pulling everything forward and twisting my straight seam right at the bottom. And I'm really trying to keep it straight. This is going to be worse and worse with every single pass. Just got one stripe in. Huh. Now I have to do the other side of it because I did this side, but not this side. Oh, it looks so clean on the inside though. Whew. All right, let's try this again. This is when people think that handheld sewing machines would be easier, but believe me, they would not. Okay. Oh yeah, that was smart. Start a little ahead so I can do my back stitching, not on the boning, especially right where it crosses. Okay. Oh, I can breathe. I think I held my breath the whole time on that one. Okay, well, I did a side seam and not the center back seam. Ha! Oh no, I'm definitely gonna have to do the other side now, and then I'll do the center back seam. But okay, I'm gonna do it. But first, sugar. "45th clown, I'm stressing about this." I know. It's like, the trick is to make it look effortless and easy, and it's not effortless nor easy. But it is. But it is. You know? Okay. Michael Schnell, I see. What fabric is lining made of then? Very good question. Now, I was thinking about this specifically for this cape. So you guys yesterday, I was going to say last week. No, I've been going live every day this week. Yesterday, I starched fabric, that ghost in the background behind my dress form, and I'm going to put that as an interlining. So there's lining, interlining, there's facings, interfacings. There are all sorts of different names for these pieces of fabric that we never even see. Now, why do we do all of this, and what's the point? So, reference cape right here. Heavy duty, wool, thick, but it is lined in it's not a super shiny silky fabric, but it's a slippery fabric. Now, wool can be itchy on a lot of people's skin. You don't really want to necessarily have this directly on your skin, especially this coarse of a wool. Now, it's lined in a soft, silky fabric so that the fabric that touches your skin is soft and not itchy. So that's the point of your lining. Lining is the fabric that touches your skin. This is why I suggest when people wear cosplay armor and those full mech suits and stuff like that, to wear cotton underneath it, like a long sleeve cotton t-shirt, Under Armour, cotton pants, leggings, sweatpants, etc., because it's like socks and shoes. What's going to be up against your skin? You don't want necessarily foam, fabrics that don't breathe, fabrics that are itchy, all of that stuff. That's is it going to be touching your skin, or is it going to be touching a layer above your skin? So that you kind of have to think about that, because it's a lot of engineering, and it's also you have to wear it, and comfort comes first, because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to wear it. And that's the truth. If it's itchy, this would never be out of the closet. But because it's lined and it's nice and it's comfortable and it's warm, it does all its jobs that it's supposed to do, I'll wear this a lot. And there could even be, I think there might even be an interlining inside of the lining of this. So what fabric do you typically need to have for a lining? Something that's going to be comfortable on your skin. Very open, very vague, but it's very specific. If it's itchy, if it's uncomfortable, if it's going to be too hot, if it's going to be, polyester does not breathe, so it will get stinky and sweaty real quick. So you need a poly cotton if it's going to be up against your skin, but also if it's not directly on your skin and it's just kind of a layer and there will be air, it's not as big of a deal. Like I said, it's a lot of complicated features that you have to think about. Anyways, I'm just avoiding doing the next row. Yeah, I really am. 45th clown. I'm stressing about this. Sorry, but thank you for joining me on my stress. Oh, nice. Dan Does Junk says, the Odin scale Lego figures are coming out great. I'm sure us working on them can't wait until it's over. I know, they're really stressful, and it gets really hard, but then you start to see the fruits of your labor, and then all of a sudden how hard they were is like a badge of glory, and you're like, I did that. Yeah. No, it wasn't easy, but it looks dang good. So I get it. That's why I craft. Because I have I get it. I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. Still avoiding it, see? Yeah. All right. That was my first one. Let's do the next one. Starting at the top. I will laugh if I use all 50 yards of this boning on this project. The diameter of my circle is definitely getting a lot smaller. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think I've used more than 10 yards tops, though. Maybe 11 or 12. Okay. DJ Stumpy. So not fabrics. The t-shirts are made of arm wish. No. Here is a thing to look for when, especially online shopping, and you don't know what you're looking for in fiber content. 100% cotton is going to shrink. Polyester, and it's going to wrinkle. Polyester is going to keep its color and its shape forever, and it's going to look amazing decades later. But it doesn't breathe, and it can get stinky, but it's washable. So the golden ratio for buying cotton poly fiber blends would be 60-20, 60-40. Gosh darn it, my brain just shut off, but used to have it like, anyways, you want to keep it mostly cotton with the little bit of polyester. So you have the breathability of the cotton, you have the comfort of the cotton, but then you have the long lastingness of the polyester and the anti-wrinkle of the polyester. So when you're thinking of what you need it to be comfortable, you need it to look sharp, you need it to look clean. So this works for dress shirts, and it also works for t-shirts. So when you're shopping online and you're looking at your 60-40, sorry, my brain is just completely off, but 60 cotton, 40 polyester. I will double check those numbers and I will get back to you, but yes. Okay, let me get, I'm really avoiding this, aren't I? Other side seam. Okay. The Fabric Wrestling Championship. All right. Oh no, my thread came undone. I hate that. Okay. I don't necessarily hate that my thread comes undone. It happens. I hate it when I don't notice it for quite a few clicks. But I cut that one early, so I can't really complain. All right, let's do this. Oh, geez. Oh, these last few ribs are the worst because everything is like a spring pushing my project that away. And I'm trying to pull everything back to be a straight line. I'm very glad that I have this line to follow. And I have 3 seams on this garment that I can follow. And the rest all have to be freestyled. And that's a little nerve-wracking because it's hard following a straight line when I have one to follow. Jeez, it's really fighting me. I ran out of bobbin thread. This far! And that was the hardest part. It's all good. Okay. Thanks to you, I really think about where I wear when I put on my Gundam suit. Well, you're welcome. I feel like you have a very good setup with that Gundam suit, because those things are definitely tricky. Okay. You know what? No, I'm not going to do that, but I will put it here. piece of scrap fabric out of the scrap bin. All right, we good. So much easier not sewing through plastic, but it's not the first time. And at least this plastic's meant to be sewn through. All right. Round 3. Maybe spool up some extra thread since you'll be putting in a good amount of boning. Yeah, I have my top thread. I switched it up. I'll get there. It'll happen. You know. But yes, you're right. I got this. The end is the worst. It's where the most spring happens. Okay. And let's do this again. See, that's why I zigzagged on the first round of boning, because 2 times going around per piece, it's just too much. This is starting to give me picket fence on a green pasture vibes while I'm sewing. Oops, not that one, this way. 1, 2, next one. This is definitely getting harder each rib that's added. All right, let me see. Okay. Michael Snell, you mentioned bias. What is bias and bias tape? Very good questions. I am going to be needing to make some of that because that's how I plan on finishing my neckline. Fabric, when it's a woven fabric, is often a grid. The fabrics weaving together make a tangible grid. It's like screen door mesh, but much denser. But it can also be that loose. But it is a grid like I'm building. Now, the strongest part of that grid is your up and down fibers, which are your warp fibers. And then your weft fibers are the ones that go side to side, and those ones aren't quite as strong. So when you want to put your project, those lines on your pattern tell you which direction to line up your grain line on your pattern pieces. And typically it's telling you to follow the warp fibers the strong ones going up and down. And that's what you line your arrows up with. Now, when you go on to the bias, that's at a 45 degrees. So now instead of having a structure like this, you have a structure like this, which is easily collapsible. And so you get the effect of a stretch fabric out of a woven fabric because the fibers collapse this way and that way. And so you get like a Chinese finger trap where they pull and it gets tighter and looser in different sections. So a bias dress, or it will stretch, and it'll also get wider when you shorten it, and it'll get longer and narrower as when it's on. But bias also wraps cleanly around your neck, so neckties are cut on the bias because it's that stretch of the fabric, and so you're using the structure of the fabric to achieve curves and bends, because up and down is very rigid. Sideways is not quite as rigid, but it's still pretty rigid. But when you go on this X, it has a lot of flexibility, move and give in there, for better, for worse. But that's why it really matters if your stuff is on grain. Look at me, I'm doing very good at avoiding sewing the next rib. But thank you for a good question to avoid it on. Oh geez, it's gonna get harder and harder. Reminds me of warping of space-time. Anyways, so, oh geez, this is my back, and has 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's gonna be 3 layers at every single bone, of course. Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so bias tape. Remember the problem of trying to wrap this rigid, doesn't want to straight up and down to a curve, and how it's kind of a battle? Well, taking a straight piece of fabric and wrapping it around a curve is kind of the same type of a battle. So instead of just using a strip of fabric and trying to finish the edge by wrapping it, especially if it's a curve like a neckline or a armhole, if you use the bias, it's just going to stretch and curve right around those corners, and it smooshes really well. And so finishing the edge without having to think about aligning or interlinings or facings and things like that, using a bias binding is super easy. So you cut a bunch of strips at 45-degree angles, and then you use those strips to finish your edges. So, but they can also be used in a million other ways, but that's what they typically are amazing for, bias strips. So, good questions. Look, it really helped me avoid doing this one. Okay, I'm doing it. Okay. Maybe it's a good thing that I didn't start with the hardest part. Okay. Okay. Get lined up. Do my back stitch. All right, 3 bones. Oh, that clunks, but it's fine. It'll do it. I broke the thread as soon as it hit the boning, the 3 layers of it. Let's try that again. Have to rethread the machine. Make sure I have a nice long tail. All right, let's try that again. Get a little bit of a running head start. Maybe, what if aha, this is genius. What did I just do? I sandwiched my top of the boning in between the 2 layers. So that'll go through 2, then 3, then, so it's not let me use my words. It's not an abrupt ka-clunk. It doesn't just go ka-clunk and break my thread again. It's going to hit the 2 layers and then the 3 layers. Let's see if that works. Yes, it worked. Okay. Just have to give it a little bit of a ramp. All right, we still have thread. Oh, it definitely ka-clunks when it hits those ribs. Take a second to breathe there, holding my breath. Each one of these stupid ribs, and I love it. Stop. Okay. This is where I don't want to put too much pressure on my needle because I'm fighting this whole project this way again because it's hitting my sewing machine and pushing everything like a spring out that way. So I have to counter do it, but I can't do it with this piece because I will just break a needle. Like, so I have to make it think it's its idea. Ah, stop. Oh, jeez. The end is the worst. It's not good to hold your breath while you're exercising. When you're stretching, you need to breathe. And I've gotten really good about, you know, like breathing through all the hard stuff. But sewing, forget how stressful it is, but I enjoy this. All right, that was round 1. Let's do round 2. Oops. Boy, okay, round 2. Okay. Dan does junk. The bodysuit is not flush with me, so there's room for air circulation. Plus, the chest vents are wide open. But yes, it's important to think about moisture wicking materials. Yes, moisture wicking materials. That's exactly what it is. Things that bring the moisture away from the body. DJ Stumpy, cool. I purchased some red dwarf figs from Mini Figs Company. Wouldn't know they were customs. Cool. Also, Under Armour should mark some of their base layers to cosplayers with them being a go-to item. I think they really do. Like, Under Armour is great base layer for a lot of stuff in general. So, makes sense to me. Michael Snell, sorry for all the questions. I'm going to try sewing, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Don't worry. Please ask questions. It gives me an excuse to be distracted from my project without feeling as guilty. And also sometimes talking it out helps. But yeah. There's a million ways to do anything, but done is better than perfect, and you're going to learn by doing. So just have fun. Like I said yesterday, print out some of those like cut out practice papers and just follow a piece of paper. Follow zigzag lines, straight lines, curved lines, interesting shapes. I remember when I was a little kid, there was this swirl, and I had to follow the swirl with the sewing machine from the inside on the outside and trying not to. It was a nice thick line, so I had wiggle room to try and. But it's like a tangible sewing video game, I suppose. But have fun with it. That's the important part. If it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it. I know I'm complaining and griping, but it is fun once it's done. DJ Stumpy, does Junk Your Gundam suit could feature in the next Super Bowl advert then? Michael Snow, when I was taking ballroom dancing classes, I held my breath all the time. Yep. It's a very bad habit. When I used to do gymnastics, my coach would call me out on it all the time. Breathe! Stop holding your breath. Breathe! And so I really had to consciously just make sure that I'm breathing, but... Beep, 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 beep. What happened? 3 layers of boning happened. And my sewing machine, instead of self-sacrificing, said, I can't do this, and stopped. But I'm just going to hand crank it. Oh, boy, that is a hard spot. I'm going to move it, pick it up, move it away from that hard spot, and just move forward. Keep going from there. Oh, yeah. Turn it off and on again. Refix my stitches. And we're back up and running. Okay. Oh no. Oh no! When did my... Okay. My thread broke again. Whew. Rather thread than needles. Ah! Ugly duckly. All right. Bit of a running start. If I go over them a little quicker than slower, it seems to work better. Oh, jeez. Whew, I can breathe. Hands are going to come out here, but I'm most likely going to put something right here and right here. I need to go through and trim all my threads. Click clunk, yes. Okay. So, I know I'm going to need some more ribs in there. also have decided this is now my front and not the back because I have more structure in this side. Okay, you guys were asking about lining, interlining, and that kind of stuff. Well, remember the fabric from yesterday that I soaked in starch. Why did I soak it in the starch? Because hear this fabric? This fabric is crunchy. It holds its shape and it has a lot of stiffness to it. It is completely wrinkled and I have to iron it, and I don't mind doing that. I'm going to do that right now. Is my iron on? It is on. Yes. It's like I was ready for this. No, I'm not going to iron on a glass table. That is just stupid. But I will. Oh, my ironing board's over here. Oh, I'm out of water. That's okay. I can fix that. This is a new iron. Well, a new to me iron. Okay, it doesn't have a spray nozzle. I was looking for the spray nozzle. It just has an extra steam button. It was on low. Let me get it to high first. Michael Snell, I've heard of various kinds of stitches. Is there a sort of catch-all stitch to learn with? What are all the stitches for? If it makes you feel better, industrial sewing machines only do straight stitch. They don't do zigzag. They can go forward, they can go backwards, but it's a straight stitch. And so many things can be done with just a straight stitch. Zigzags for fancy people. No. Zigzags have their place because they can stretch and they could have more coverage. My favorite stitch is the abstract stitch because it's stretchy, but it also like blends in when you're sewing laces and such. But all you really need to know to get going is a straight stitch. All the other stitches are just fun and playful. Does blinking mean it's hot or that it's heating up? I don't know. I'm just being... It is pulling power because it is clicking. But yeah, start with a straight stitch. And don't be afraid to do long stitch lengths, because sometimes with thicker fabrics or more heavier fabrics, you might want a longer stitch length. But yeah, so good question. All you really need to know about types of stitches is a straight stitch to get going. There you go. That's what I'm waiting for. I need it to be hot enough to steam. I think I'm going to adjust the camera. Yeah, because otherwise you guys are going to look at my head cut off. Peeking, peeking. That technically should be good enough. Did it work? It's not the worst. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right. So here's a beginner pro tip for sewing. Iron as you go. I love wireless irons and little wireless irons. Odin has my iron right now, my favorite one. It's little and it's compact, but I just got this one, so I'm really not complaining because honestly, it's getting used and he's using it, and I appreciate that. But I like a wireless iron, not saying you have to, but having an iron right next to your sewing machine is a game changer. You don't have to keep getting up and getting down, and you press your seams as you go. So you can press your seams before you go. So you can press things to where they need to be, so all you have to do is stitch it down and you're not fighting the fabric. It's just laying there nicely because you already pressed it. Okay. So the technical term for adding starch to a garment is called adding sizing. So people add sizing to ready to wear garments so that they hold their shape and structure on the hanger, so you buy it, but then once you wash it, they're not the same kind of crunchiness or feel, and you're like, why? It's because you washed out the sizing. Okay, look at this piece of fabric right here. It has some sound to it. It's pretty dang crunchy, if you ask me. This is the piece that didn't get any starch. It's still a heavy piece of fabric, but it's not as crunchy. So this one is going to do a good job on its own, just putting a layer between the ribs and the outside fabric so you don't see those bumps on the outside fabric. Adding the starch makes it a sharp cone. And you're definitely not going to see any of those. So I'm using this as my interlining. I'm going to use a silky fabric for my lining. I'm going to use this for my interlining and the green for the outside fabric, and that is all going to sandwich on top of my structural layer. But you'll never see this or this. They're just the secret structural layers in my garment that make it do the magic that it's supposed to. But I still have these pieces to iron. I'm just getting distracted. Okay. Thank you, 45th Clown, saying it looks really good. Holds its shape nicely. I think you guys were commenting on the green part. Hey, a Deku mask. Nice. Yeah, this guy was here when I got here, and I absolutely love him, so. 45th Clown, I was looking for a smaller ironing board. How big is yours? I saw one's around 30 centimeters long, but that felt tiny. Okay, so this one is just the small one that's standard at the fabric store. But I also have this one. This has magnets in the corners of it, and it sticks to the top of my washing machine or dryer, and it is my favorite ironing board. I will put this next to my sewing machine on my wooden table, and I will have my sewing machine sitting right here and my ironing pad right next to me, and I will literally just press as I sew. This one is because of a glass table, but see, it's magnetic. Both of these were at the fabric store. I don't have a full-size large ironing board, but I don't think I would use it even if I did. Holds its shape? Okay. Schultz Division, hello, checking in. Welcome, Schultz Division. All right, I'm being distracted long enough. Okay, so my plan is to get these ironed, and then I'm going to cut out my outside fabric. I haven't picked out a lining yet. That's the problem, is I want something a little slippery because between the wool and my outside layer, I don't want them to get stuck, because if you look, this can hold its shape. Felt boards are a thing for a reason, and I want something slippery in between so things just fall into place without having to constantly, like, oh no, I reached up and now it's like stuck up here. And I haven't fully decided which lining to use yet. It has to be something I have a lot of. You're not going to necessarily see it, but there's not, like, if it peeks through, I don't want it to feel like it's not part of the right world. That's Toby, if he just bumped the camera. Yeah. Michael Schnell, they make cordless irons? News to me. Oh, I love cordless so much. I do not like cords. I can be ambidextrous in my ironing because I don't have to fight a cord. Wireless irons are the only reason that I haven't gotten a professional steam iron, because professional steam irons are worth their weight in gold. I love everything about them. They work really well, but I still choose a wireless iron over a steam iron. Also, I love my wireless glue gun. When I found out that there was a wireless option for that, I was happy, that's for sure. Hi, Toby, you coming back? All right. Oh, that's Toby. I love the noise. Look how crunchy it is. Can't quite see, but that one little wrinkle, that's where it's still wet. Everywhere else around that is dry. Interesting. So crunchy. I absolutely love starch. It is an amazing little secret weapon. You know those crocheted ornaments or knit ornaments that hold their shape? That's soaked in cornstarch. My mom was like, how do they do that? I know how to like do the stitches, but how do they get it to stay in that shape? What are they using? Cornstarch. Or sometimes like the glue that holds puzzles together, but cornstarch. DJ Stumpy, with the gathering stitch, should I be adjusting tension? Yep. For the pesky sleeve. Yes, you do want to adjust your tension. All right. The higher your tension, the more gathers you're going to get. So I think 9's the highest my sewing machine will go. 3's the lowest. I'm definitely up at a 7 when I'm doing E-stitching and full onto the 9 when I'm gathering. And you can also put your finger right behind the presser foot as your fabric's sewing through it and just letting it, the feed dogs do their job, and it will gather your stitches a lot. But I don't know your sewing machine. Some sewing machines, you don't need to turn it up to 11. You just kind of got to turn it up just like 1 or 2 above where it is. Yeah. So my old school, their sewing machines, they just need a little bit and all of a sudden it starts gathering. My personal sewing machine, you got to turn it up to 11, you know, and then it'll do what I want it to do. I've gotten them mixed up before, and it's not the funnest. So do it on a test piece of fabric, but yes, turn up the tension. The bigger the number, the more you're going to get gathers. Typically, at a normal stitching, you're going to want it at a 3 or 4. 4 being normal, 3 when you're using a thicker, heavier weight fabric. But good question. Ah. 45th Clown. Oh, an ironing pad. I have a full-size ironing board. It's 5 foot and 4 and a huge pain. Yeah, I think that's kind of why I don't have an ironing board, is that it is a huge pain. And normally I just want to iron on the table and I'll pull out a bunch of towels before I pull out an ironing board. But my little ironing pad is my favorite thing. I can do, like, it fits on top of my washing machine and dryer, washer and dryer. And it just clicks. It's a little magnet. And I can also sit my sewing machine right on top of it and have my little pad on the side for ironing. Again, not on my glass table. On my wood table. Glass table. It's this baby. Yeah. DJ Stumpy, do you go slow when your finger's behind the needle? I tried and it didn't succeed at getting gathers. No, you go fast. So what you're doing is you are giving resistance to the fabric flowing backwards. So that resistance of the fabric flowing backwards is what does the gathers. Now the faster you go, the more pressure you have built up, the more... Like when I was sewing over those bones and I was like, I have to get a running start. I have to get some momentum so that it just easily goes over the pieces. You kind of got to get some momentum going so it like all gathers up into that same spot. But driving faster on a sewing machine is a lot easier, but it's more dangerous. I guess. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, if you go too slow, you're just kind of it's too gentle. And it's behind the presser foot. Don't put it behind the needle because you don't want to stab yourself. It's behind the presser foot, right where the needle's not stabbing behind it. And now that I said something Not behind the needle. Oops, you can't see. Not behind the needle, behind the presser foot. The plastic part or metal part, I don't know, your machine, as it's coming out. And if it's really not working that much, do a longer stitch length and increase your tension. Longer stitch lengths are going to gather way easier than short stitch lengths. You smoosh it and you smoosh it. So technically when you're ironing, you're not supposed to be ironing when you sew. You're supposed to be pressing. Ironing, you move everything around and you're smooshing down the wrinkles. But when you're sewing, you're supposed to be pressing because you want to keep your grid integrity. But you smoosh it and you smoosh it. And you wiggle it so it doesn't burn. Michael Schno. So what's the interlining for? Just stability, structure, and support. So I like to think of fabrics like you're adding up an equation. So the outside fabric has the prettiness factor, but it might not have the structure or support to hold the shape that you want. So you put underneath that the fabric that has the structure and support of the shape you want. But then also you want to be able to have breathing layers, or if it's a coat, you want it to be like warmer. So you add those kind of insulating layers. And so you can add the properties of the fabrics together to create a more comfortable or structurally sound garment. These interlining layers are helping protect against the ribs being visible. Because I could just put one layer over the top with the felt, but you're going to see every bump, especially if I have things linked to it. So this is going to give me a sturdy structure that's nice and crunchy to go over the top of that. As you can see, you can't see any of those bones that I put in this at all. Hold on, let me. I'm not going to burn it by leaving it face down on the fabric. A, it's cotton, and B, there's no cord, so it's not getting hotter, it's only getting cooler, and it's not that hot that it's going to burn it yet because I haven't left it on the plate long enough for it to get that hot. So shh. You see nothing. All right, before I sew that together, I want to use those patterns to cut out my outside fabric and my lining. I haven't decided on my lining yet, so I can't cut that out because I don't know what it's going to be, but I do have my fabric right there staring right at me that I can cut it out, so. water out of the way so it doesn't get knocked over. Okay. All right. Excusez-moi. Currently, I'm keeping the wool scraps for this project because I'm going to need little pieces for the bases of my thingamajigs that I'm going to be attaching, the little house figurines. But I haven't seen what those look like yet, so I'm just keeping the little pieces for now. This. I have not gotten my second camera up yet. Let me see. Here we go. I'm placing this on the fold because now my center back is on the fold and my center front is on the seam align. As chaotic as it was on the floor, it definitely is easier because you have more space. Okay, a little more space. Let me. Hi, Toby, are you okay? What's going on? Oh, you're just interested in what I'm doing? You sweet boy. Okay, so save significantly more fabric having one seam on the fold and a center back or center front seam. I can fit a lot more pieces on this fabric. It's a whole lot less wasteful. I thought it was going to be much more wasteful with this fabric, and although I am using a lot of it, it's not as much as I thought it was going to be, and I'm very glad about that. Where are my super scissors? Ha ha ha. Got these for Christmas like last year. They're my favorite. Okay. Okay. Michael Schnell, how do you keep from overheating with so many layers? Not my concern with this issue. This is not going to brave any elements. It will stand for about 2 hours in studio with lighting and either air conditioning or a heater depending on the weather. This does not have to brave the elements. And it is a cape dress that is not close fitting, so there'll be plenty of air circulation in this tent. It's going to be fine. It's also wool, so it will be warm even if it's wet, which is one of the amazing properties about wool. It also breathes. And is a fairly comfortable natural fiber, so other than the itch part, and some people are more sensitive to the itch than others, it is a very, very comfortable, breathable fabric to work with. So nice fabric to save the day. But again, this is not a practical garment. This is a artistic piece that's being created for a photograph, which should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this. But it will be comfortable. It's not heavy. The bonings, sorry, I just really want to cut that. It's fairly lightweight. I'm not trying to add too many layers because I don't want it to get too bulky and just too much. Like, I want more support than I want too much fabric. Stay, don't move. What's going on, Bruno? Bruno? You want to come here? Come say hi? And come say hi? So what do you have to say? Oh, really? Okay, let me finish this and then we can play. Okay. I think my biggest complaint is that this girl has shoulders like a human being. But what, Bruno? You don't like the shoulders either? How dare she? No, I'm teasing. No, I actually really do like it. I think it's turning out into the right shape. I have to pick out a lining so I can do the next part of it. Bruno, all done. Thank you. Hey, shh. Thank you. So I have to pick out a lining. I really do. I have to commit to something, figure it out. So I'm not going to go live this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but I will be back Tuesday for a regular live stream. I think I prefer the mornings right now because my schedule's working out that way. So, Bruno, and we're almost at 2 hours. No, we're only at an hour and a half. I think in the next 30 minutes I could get it finished. No, I'll wait till next week. I wanted to make a silk collar, so the green base layer with the little collar would be done. But I think I want to finish the neckline before I pattern the collar, just in case I change anything about that. Yeah, so Bruno, come here. Thank you for keeping me safe from all those sketchy plastic bags outside. I appreciate you. Okay? But we good for now. Okay, so I feel like this will be pretty darn sturdy for the creatures of this little imaginary world to stick to. Yeah. Okay, I have to pick out the lining and then we can move forward from there. Michael Schnell, how much longer do you think the whole piece will take? It takes between 8 and 16 hours to make a dress from scratch. I'm making this up as I go, and doing it live, and that always adds to the amount of time that a project takes. But it depends on, getting it finished from here, my next live stream, I feel like I can get the lining cut out and then the 3 layers sewn together that go over this. And then maybe the collar, we'll see. But then I have to do all the details and the decorations, and that's going to be a whole nother fun part. And that will be after I get the structure built. Then I get to add roads and houses and all the fun parts. So that might take me a little more time, and it depends on what goes into it. So I feel like this will be a few more weeks, but I do on the week before, the May 4th, I am going to finish up the Princess Leia costume. So I will take a break from this project if it's still going to Finished Princess Leia. Her sleeves just need to be shortened and she needs to get hemmed. But other than that, she's done. And if you guys were wondering, I glued the belt on the on Oda Makes live stream on his channel. I borrowed his glue because his I could open and I didn't want to go buy some more, so I just glued it and it's done. And it's holding amazing. Let me show you real quick. The WWE champion, Bruno. No? Okay. But not bad for some soda cans and an old couch. I have them bent so they're not flat because that's the way they shape around a curved object. Scale's not bad. Might change it next time I ever attempt to do this belt again. But pretty happy with the way it turned out. 45th Clown, thank you for the stream. Been great seeing you for a week. Thank you. I can't guarantee that I will be going live every day next week. Actually, in fact, I probably won't. Hold on, let me double check my calendar. Hold on. Calendar, sorry, we're only live. I might be going live on Monday instead of Tuesday. I will let you know. But I will be going live next week, okay? And I won't be going live every day, but I will go live and finish this up. So thank you guys for joining me on this whole week-long adventure. I appreciate you guys, and I'm really excited, and I won't work on this without you guys. I promise. All right. Until next time. Bruno.